John sees an innumerable number who have come out of the Great Tribulation, likely Nero's persecution. And the palm branches that they have in their hands, they symbolize the Feast of Booth, or Sukkot, or Tabernacles. In Zechariah 14:16, it says, it will come about that all the survivors, the remnant of Israel, those who remain of the nations that came against Jerusalem, will come here from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to observe the Feast of Booths. In Ezekiel 37, this recovery of Israel, which has now gone into exile, is seen as a resurrection. Now, it's very interesting with this belief of Israel being returned to their land, and then its connection to the Feast of Booths. Now, we have to appreciate that back in Nehemiah chapter 8, this is a post-exile book. So this historical setting of this is the recovery or the return, or at a time when they are now going back to their land. Okay, Ezra's reading the law, but the people of Israel should that dwell in booths during the feast of the 7th month, celebrating a national resurrection. Check that out. A link between the Feast of Booths and resurrection. And now here in Revelation 7:9, we see it fulfilled. Well, how is it being fulfilled? Stick with me for a minute. I'm trying to make sense of this. In 2 Corinthians 5, we read something very, very interesting. Paul writes this: "For we know that if the tent of our earthly home is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For in this tent," this earthly body, this earthly tent, "we groan, longing to put on our heavenly dwelling." How does Paul put off the earthly tent? How then? How and when? In resurrection. The Feast of Booths being celebrated by these at the throne of God is a celebration of the resurrection. It is telling us that the church is a community of the resurrection. It is telling us that the church is the community of the immortal. And Zechariah's symbolic description of that in Zechariah, that in the day of the Lord, they would celebrate the Feast of Booths. What he's telling us that in the day of the Lord, as we see in Revelation 7:9, that they would be celebrating that death was not the final chapter. Their martyrdom was not the final chapter. Their persecution was not the final chapter. But they were in fact a community of the resurrection, a community of the immortal.